Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generations discussion. And today, I wanted to talk to you guys about the major ramifications that we got following Boruto Chapter 75, which is we saw Boruto Uzumaki seemingly tap into what we can presume is a divine power that belonged to Momoshiki, which now changes the entire way we have to look at both the past events and the current events and the future events of the Boruto series. And best of all, the foreshadowing has been right in our faces when we pull together the events of the anime and the manga scenes in each of these instances. As we all know, Boruto's manga revealed that what we know as ninjutsu is merely a pale imitation of what the Otsutsuki call shinjutsu, which is basically divine jutsu. And we were given a list of powers that qualify as this, but in this chapter, we saw Boruto look into the future to see the future events that appear to be happening in the near future. Kawaki has blood on his face. Mitsuki is in sage mode and he's challenging Kawaki. Sword is on the move, looking for Kawaki. And based on the perspective shown in the panels, it's clear that the things we're seeing are from Boruto's perspective, and Boruto is potentially on the ground, which has led to some people thinking Kawaki has wounded Boruto. This means that what some have said wasn't the case is indeed the case, which is that Momoshiki does have the ability to see into the future in a limited capacity, which is only right that given something this overpowered and taboo from a literature perspective should come with some limitations. However, this reveal means that Boruto will now be able to see into the future as well, since he is continuously awakening more of the powers that belong to Momoshiki, even more so now that Boruto and Momoshiki's minds are connected. This right here opens the story up to so many possibilities for what's coming on later down the line in terms of the pipeline for the things that are about to happen next, while also adding a moment of clarity for past times. We've seen either Boruto subconsciously or Momoshiki consciously use this power, but also as a way to insert more tension for future events into the future of the series. Boruto being able to see into the future for events that he might not be able to change is going to make Boruto's prophecy about losing everything spin our heads around faster than Katasuki used to call Boruto Young Lord in the anime, which always struck me as odd since Boruto can't call himself Young Lord unless he visited Established Titles, which is going to be the sponsor of today's video. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping with global reforestation efforts. It's a project based in historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. With Established Titles, you get at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with the crest, which has a unique plot number to show you your land. Established Titles plants a tree with every order they receive and work with charities like One Tree Planet and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. Just as Naruto gets to call himself Lord Hokage, you can officially call yourself Lord or Lady, which now that I have this certificate calling me a Lord, it's going to be on my desk and everybody who comes to my office has to call me the Lord. And you can get it on your credit card or your plane tickets, or you sussy bakas can even use it on your dating profiles. If you go for the romantic route, you can also purchase the couples pack, which comes with adjoining plots of land. The first 200 people purchasing the title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot within a few minutes of walking distance from it. Depending on how many of you guys want to become a lord or a lady, we can build our own little Naruto Explained kingdom. My late grandmother, who just passed away, not only loved flowers but also trees as well, so I'm gonna purchase one to honor my late grandmother. It makes an amazing last minute gift. Established Titles is actually running an early Black Friday sale, plus if you use the promo code EXPLAIN, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/explain to get your gift and help support the channel. Thank you again to Established Titles for sponsoring today's video. So now that we know Boruto is indeed capable of seeing into the future, let's look at the foreshadowing for this power being made available to Boruto and tie in together the information in a way that makes Boruto's statement in the beginning of chapter 1 so much more heartbreaking. The first signs that we got about someone being able to see into the future was Momoshiki cut on his Byakugan. He looked over at Naruto and he made the snide remark that it's a pity that Naruto has so much power, but he'll be unable to pass down that power to the next generation. Now, we as fans heard that and we said, silly Momoshiki, when Naruto gets to be 100 years old and long after Hinata's died, he can just pull a Mito Uzumaki and have the Kyuubi extracted from him and have it sealed into whichever of his children or his grandchildren who've inherited that special chakra that is rare inside the Uzumaki clan that makes them suitable to be a host of the Nine Tails, which is why Kushina was chosen out of all the other Uzumaki to be the new host of the QB. However, as we all know, Kurama went smoke after Naruto used Baryon mode. Momoshiki then hinted at being able to see the future when he gave Boruto a prophecy that those blue eyes would take everything away from Boruto, and since then he said the time is still a ways away, and most recently he said that the time is coming very soon, and that when that time came, Boruto will fall into despair so great that Boruto offers up his body to Momoshiki. With Boruto, once his karma reached a certain percentage of extraction, despite the Byakugan drugs which slowed down the Otsutsuki extraction of Momoshiki's data that was embedded into the karma, we had a moment during the much fan-hated Funato clan arc where Boruto had a vision of the future when they were at sea before he met Akata for the first time. Whereas Momoshiki was able to see into the future, Boruto saw a glimpse of the near future, and he's now once again in the manga been shown a glimpse of the near future, because the designs from everyone that's fighting Kawaki, they're in their pre-time skip designs. From this information, we can conclude that Justice Jigen and Kawaki were able to use Ishiki's powers, but not as effectively and as powerful as Ishiki. Boruto has a similar thing with Momoshiki's ability to see into the future. He can't, as of right now, see too far into the future, only the near future. Narratively, this is something that completes the pattern of what we currently have with living, breathing characters in the franchise. Ada with their Sharingan can see everything happening around the world in the present and in the past up to 16 years ago from the current point in time. So we have the past and the present being checked off this list. Boruto now checks off the future. Two currently alive people have access to the three main parts of the timeline: the past, the present, and the future. Oddly enough, this is actually Boruto's manga, continuing what we've already seen in Naruto's manga to a lesser degree, and it's fitting that Ada, someone who got her powers transplanted from Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA, i.e. the DNA of the Otsutsuki clan god, and Boruto, someone who's now 100% Otsutsuki on a genetic level, we're seeing full versions of something that we saw in Naruto's manga that was hinted at. One of the first passing lines that we got about the Sharingan was that the Sharingan could show the future, but we all know that Kakashi was playing mind games with Zabuza. He didn't actually see Zabuza's death. He was just messing with his head. However, the Sharingan does have some slight form of precognition, where the Sharingan can read the muscle twitches and it can predict the movements, which allows for the Sharingan user to counter attacks before they're pulled off, assuming the Sharingan user has the speed to do so. It also allows the Sharingan user to predict jutsu hand seals before the casters finish weaving them, and if their own hand seal speed is fast enough, they can finish a jutsu before the caster, assuming they've already mastered the chakra nature of the attack that's about to be used. It's not seeing events into the future, but it is still seeing a few seconds into the future because of the prediction method. We saw further evolution of this in the form of Urashiki, whose Rinnegan Dojutsu power allowed him to go forward in time several seconds and see attacks and then rewind time to a point in the past, so he could counter those set abilities. In the Naruto Ninja Escapades OVA, where Masashi Kishimoto was the creative supervisor responsible for the stories in the various OVAs, we saw Madara's Mangekyo's Sharingan rewind time a few seconds to change the outcome of a battle sequence. All throughout the pre-Boruto era, we saw watered down glimpses of something dealing with something related to time, and now it all makes sense. Jutsu were mere imitations of divine power of the Otsutsuki. The Sharingan, you could argue, is just a mutation that came from the Rinne Sharingan once Kaguya started mixing in human genetics and had her children. Urashiki's Rinnegan powers are different from Momoshiki, but they're time related. We now have an Otsutsuki god who can basically transcend reality here, so you could argue the Otsutsuki god is above time itself. This sets Boruto up as a more sympathetic character. It's one thing to know that a great calamity is coming, but it's another thing to not only know that the calamity is coming, but to see glimpses of it unfold and be unable to stop it. It makes Boruto's line when he speaks to Kawaki heartbreaking, because we now know why Boruto has his head lowered as he's speaking to Kawaki when he says the line, "This was the only possible outcome." We have someone in Boruto who might have tried to prevent the future from happening, but the future was a set event that can't be changed. which makes Boruto's power a curse. Depending on how this is written, it has the potential to be the one thing that makes Boruto's character get over more Japanese fans who have largely turned away from Boruto as a character in favor for Kawaki as a character, and potentially even bring back in some of the Western fans who clocked out on Boruto as a main character and just as a series. However, it is worth noting, stories that deal with time-related stuff, whether it be time travel like Tokyo Revengers, which boy, that was a huge fumble of the story. If you read the manga, you know what I mean. Or even with other stories that have characters that have the powers of time manipulation or the foresight into the future, it's a thin line to walk before it goes from being brilliant writing to being a fumble. Case in point, again, Tokyo Revengers final arc. That being said, I'm curious to know how you guys feel about this new change that we have to the Boruto story. If you're someone who doubled down on Boruto's ability to see into the future during the Funato clan arc, congratulations, you are a great prognosticator. While you think that over, click here to watch my Every Fiend and Chainsaw Man video, or click here to watch my Boruto chapter 75 review.